following program contains insensitive language, graphic content, lewd behavior, and unconventional opinions. This show should not be viewed by anyone, and viewer discretion is advised.
You stupid, dumb animal!
Episode 2. Fantastic.
Hello, everybody. Dick Rickles here. Episode 2 of Stupid Dumb Animals. Darlin?
The topic today is dogs and pets and other various small furry slaves that you keep about the house. You know, not including dogs or pets. You know, the scaly variety and the feathery type as well. And
Yeah, we personally have a French bulldog who's old as shit.
And he is gassy enough to clear out a room.
Oh my god, he is rotting from the inside out, isn't he?
Oh, that's, yeah, I don't like thinking about it like that, but you can just tell with his age. I mean, he'll be 12 and, his birthday is in September, but my mom put it down as October 31st, just because it's an easy date to remember. But he was actually born around September 9th, so our dog is a Virgo. And apparently astrologers focus on that. I didn't know that, but my father's dog is a Aries, and he acts like a fucking Aries. It's crazy. But yeah, so we're considering getting a French Bulldog puppy at this time to start training as an ESA and put through the rigorous courses that a service animal needs to be properly trained. You know, I don't like the whole, it's just an ESA because you went on a website and paid this fee, and you have a printout certificate. That's not right, you know?
Yeah. You want, some actual training for him?
Yeah, her.
Her. Yeah, that's true. We do want it to be a girl dog.
Plus, you know, you can say you bitch without insults, you know?
Yeah. I hope they're like Tony.
Every dog has their own personality, honestly.
I know, but he's got such a he's still got such a puppy energy, even at 11.
I honestly think that's because we adopted him rather young. I can't remember how many weeks he was when we bought him. But he hadn't been socialized not to bite. So he would run after our ankles and go after that, and that is a pain in the ass with a puppy. No one ever tells you that, you know, because they have milk teeth, too. And the milk teeth are sharp as can be, and they're teething on top of that. And, you know, a lot of things about dogs as well, you know, they go through teenage years. They go through an awkward puberty.
They kind of have a developmental psychology to them like kids do.
Yeah.
I've never had a puppy.
Yeah,
I've only ever had one dog, and we got him when he was a couple years old, a year and a half, something like that.
What was your parents' reasoning for getting a dog? Because, you know, you said your dad, you know, travels around a lot, and even though your moms stay at home.
I just asked for it for so long.
You were one of those kids that...
It was messed up because I asked every year, asked for a dog, and then they decide, you know, we're probably gonna be here for a while, in Florida, so, you know, let's get him a dog. They get me a dog, and then 2 years later we moved to California, and they're like, we'll bring him with us, and then we'll bring him with us turned into. He's going to stay here, and we'll look for places that allow pets. And then that turned into, we can't find any places, but, you know, this place is going to hold on to him until we find a place
that
allows pets.
Did they drop him off? It wasn't a farm, right?
No.
Okay.
No. They showed me later on, after we moved back to Florida, they showed me where the little foster dog home was.
Yeah.
I had a feeling, though, that, as I got older, I had a feeling they never looked into anything at all. They were just like, listen, we're moving. Your dog is staying here.
they seemed rather
Get used to it.
I mean, I love your folks, but they seem rather callous to do that. I mean, I can tell you what it feels like when you have to have a dog put down, because I've experienced it twice now in my life, and the first one was with a black Shar-Pei we had named Misha, which is Russian for black bear, and she was the sweetest thing. She was the first one to greet me when my parents brought me home from the hospital.
Uh-huh.
You know, I used to, like, snuggle up in her dog bed, because it was, like, one of the larger dog beds that we kept in the washroom.
Mm.
And she died of what's called Shar-Pei fever, and she died at 5 years old. Well, she didn't die. My parents had chose to put her down because she was, suffering. At the end of her days, she was, patchy and fur, was having issues.
Is Shar-Pei fever just like...
It's a genetic thing.
They just get hotter because of the folds, or...
No, it's called that. I can't think of the... Actually, would you mind looking that up? It's called something, and it's actually in humans. Here, use my phone. It's actually in humans as well, and it's particularly common in the Mediterranean. I honestly think it's a circulatory issue. I'm not sure. But anyway, Misha was 5 years old when she was put down, and at the time, I was in a weird situation where I was with my stepdad and my mom and my sister because they lived separately. Half sister or whatever the PC term is, or the correct term.
Okay, Shar-Pei fever, also called familiar Shar-Pei fever, is a condition seen in Shar-Pei characterized by recurring fever and swelling of the hocks.
Oh, I guess it is a fever of types.
It is a similar to familial Mediterranean fever in humans. The cause is unknown, but is thought to be inherited.
Yes, it is, and it's that's the shameful thing with... Please put that onto charge if you don't mind. That's
Sure.
Not shameful, but that's the sad thing about buying Shar-Peis, because it is a crapshoot,
Well, buying purebred dogs in general seems like it's usually kind of a
Yes.
crapshoot.
Well, yes, all that good old-fashioned inbreeding.
Yeah, people really tend to separate those two as a thought. The fact that inbreeding and purebred dogs, like, that's how you get purebred dogs, is through inbreeding them.
Just like royalty. But I mean, even though purebred dogs have their drawbacks, Tony, he was 36 pounds at his last vet visit, and he is a French bulldog, purebred. He's
Stocky
a nice
dog too.
Yes, give you a visual. He's a nice brindle coat. Now in his age, it's a bit patchy, but he's a good boy. But yes, so he was 36 pounds at the last vet visit, and he was actually born naturally, which is a rarity for French bulldogs because they have such a large head.
Heads are huge.
Yes.
That poor bitch.
It's not wrong. But he was a natural birth. He and his entire litter were a natural birth. He was the only boy, and I believe he had 3 or 4 sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually where my love for pied Frenchies comes from, because even though he's brindle, his face was so black when he came out. It was adorable. He looked like he had a little mask on. But one of his sisters was a pied Frenchie, with like light brown spots, and I wanted to I keep saying that word and I feel so bad, but I wanted to buy her so much as well, and I wanted to name her Poppy. That's where that name origin comes from, because I don't know, it just reminded me of poppy flowers. But Frenchies have a lot of issues, a lot of snout issues, because they're brachiocephalic dogs versus mesocephalic, I believe is how you pronounce it. Mm-hmm. Which are like German shepherds, dogs with snouts.
Okay, so what's it called?
Mesocephalic. Brachiocephalic.
That's like the snout.
Yeah, I believe it's Latin or Greek.
That's like pugs.
Yes.
And stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
Those cats that have the smushed Persians, that's the name of the cat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Persian cats.
So cats have that too. I don't know enough about cat breeds.
I kind of do, but just from watching the Discovery Channel, which...
It really ends up being like what pet you own a lot of. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I don't even know that much about dog breeds. I've only ever had one dog. But
Technically,
fun
too.
fact, Tony's parents' names are Jack and Bobsy. And I don't know why, but that'll probably be the last thing I remember
I didn't
before
think
I
of
die.
Bobsy as a name. I would love Bobsy. That's adorable.
That is a good idea for a name.
Oh, that'll be one for the book. So far, the names we have for girls are Poppy, Daisy. Well, it was a few more. Bopsy now.
Yeah, Bobsy.
I'm particular to Daisy for a pied Frenchie. I like Bopsy maybe for like a darker coat.
Yeah.
But, the dog's personality dictates the name, just like with children, Dogs and humans are honestly really similar, and, I'm guilty of using the same techniques with dogs as I do for little kids, but you know what? It works. And I'm not hurting anyone's feelings. I mean, it might be a little blunt to the point, but, I'm your elder. You respect me.
I get that.
I'll be your friend after.
I get that. I've always kind of been like, little uns are going to do what they're going to do a lot of times. They're just kind of little spitfires, no matter what species.
Well, that's... You have to foster a sense of independence, but at the same time, a sense of protection for them. There was a psychological study quite a few years back now, because it would be absolutely unethical to do in this day and age, where these researchers had 3 groups of puppy, a control group, and the other 2 groups. One was the puppies were consistently berated, and the control group was, normal dogs. Mm-hmm. But the 3rd group was the most interesting, because the dogs were mistreated and then given, treats, almost like an abusive relationship, that cycle,
Okay, yeah.
Where it's the lovey-dovey period, things start to go downhill, violence, and then that resolution phase. I can't remember the steps, but God, I miss psychology. So what they found was the group of puppies that were consistently mistreated, but at the same time given praise and treats, responded the best to the researchers. And, of course, the dogs that were just given negative treatment were, they just quivered in fear.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Matter of fact, I think the puppies that were partially abused and partially, excuse me, and partially praised were more responsive than the control group. Mm-hmm. I'll have to look that up. That'll be a good topic for episode 3. But we have some boy names picked out too. And one that I really like, I do like Salvador. I don't know.
I like the name Salvador too.
And call him Sally.
Sally.
We like the name Montekia, which we can go, we can call him Monty, and people are like, oh, is that Monty Python? And no, we'll be like, oh, that's Montekia. It means butters.
The last Mohican.
You
know?
A French bulldog that this breed was originally from England, named Montekia, a Spanish word. Love it.
Love it.
Owned by a 10th plus generation American and a first generation American. That seems appropriate.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Leo was another one. I could see that for like a little stocky brown Frenchie with like a dark face.
Yeah. Is there any other breed you would want to consider?
You know which breed I want to consider.
I forget.
Shar-Peis.
Oh, well, yeah,
I love Shar-Peis. I grew up with them my entire life.
Yeah, you had a bunch of Shar-Peis over the years.
They were used as both farm dogs and temple protectors because, they're hound dogs. Mm-hmm. And they're essentially hound dogs in China.
Yeah, they do have that kind of bloodhoundish kind of. Not bloodhoundish. What am I thinking of? Hunting dogs.
Oh, I know the breed you're talking about.
They're not beagles, but they kind of look like beagles.
They're taller.
Yeah. I have no idea what those dogs are called.
There's Catahoula curs, I think, is the name of them. Mm-hmm. Those are popular hunting dogs in Florida. That's what our friend Zoe, that's what Dixie is.
Oh! Okay, yeah.
Those are very popular hunting dogs. They're not the dogs you're thinking of, but...
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
But Shar-Peis, they come in such a variety of coat colors and types. And what's cool about them is if you look at their tongue, and you see this in a lot of Asiatic dogs, their tongue will be purple or splotched with purple. Huh. I'm not sure what it is as far as genetics go, but bear coat Shar-Peis I love, but here are the two downsides, both to Shar-Peis and specifically to bear coats. Bear coat Shar-Peis have a recessive gene from Chow Chows, because they're relatives and they come from, I believe, a similar area in China. And they shed quite a bit. Mm-hmm. You know, we can make a sweater, which, you know, that might be a good side business. You know, earn a little money here and there. Exotic lotions and sweaters. All natural.
And dog sweaters.
Both are all natural.
Dog sweaters.
I mean, there's people that do it with cat fur. You know, they're not considered weird. Yes, they are. They're considered completely weird. What the hell am I talking about? But the other issue with Shar-Peis is they can tend to be a bit jowly. And that might not seem like an issue to people until they have a jolly dog drink water.
Yeah.
Because guess what? That drips all over. And because they're jowly, and especially younger dogs, I'm not quite sure why they do it, they'll shake.
Yeah.
And, let's just say I've seen slobber patterns all up the wall.
Well, Tony has all kinds of problems because of his jowls. Because he'll get food on there, and then he'll rub his face into the carpet, and because of how he rubs his face, he'll like bite his jowls by accident.
I'm honestly not convinced that it's not allergies or something. At this point, he honestly might be doing it as a calming strategy. You know, like how I'm twirling my hair right now.
Oh, just rubbing his face into the carpet?
Yeah, because...
Well, he just does it after he eats. He's treating the ground like a napkin, essentially.
Oh, God, I know. It's gross to clean. Anyway, but, you know, think of bears scratching their back on trees.
Yeah.
You know, they know they're going to get a splinter, but they don't care.
Oh, sure.
It feels good.
I get that when he's, like, rubbing his face into his bed. You know, when he's doing that weird spasm, wiggle, seizure thing in his bed.
Oh, he looks so happy, too, because I love that he'll look at us and kind of bark, like, come on and play with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he's got those bug eyes, and I'm just really afraid of them. Pressing them into the...
That is an issue with Frenchies, Boston Terriers, bug-eyed dogs in general, but... Excuse me. I got gassy. But... Like I said,
we really fucked these things up, huh?
That honestly will make me quite sad when I look at pets sometimes, because I will just sit there and I'll think, oh my God, we screwed this species up. You know, we humans as an entire race.
We really bred the weird into them. It's just...
Well, I mean, we bred so many problems into them. You know, hip dysplasia in larger dogs, stomach flipping.
Yeah, I was just about to say stomach flipping, like all the organ issues that the bigger dogs have.
And stomach flipping, if it happens once, I think there's a very high possibility of it happening again. Very common in German Shepherds, Great Danes.
Yeah, my aunt's Great Dane.
Well, if you want to read a spoiler alert for Marley and Me, if you haven't read it yet, go read it. It's a fantastic book, but I'm spoiling it. So, Marley, their dog ends up dying from
stomach flipping.
Yeah.
It flips twice. It flips, then they get it fixed, and then it flips again. And then Marley kicks it.
Well, I think they put him down. Yeah. Which, to me, I knew that ending was coming, and I was blubbering like a baby, you know. And I would not wish that upon my worst enemy to have put a dog down. That is the single hardest drive you will ever make in your life. Because Zeno, she was a
I'm not
Shar-Pei.
looking forward to it.
Oh, we only can pray that he goes naturally, because, you know, Yoda, the first French bulldog we had in my life was a white Frenchie, and she was a breeding bitch. And my mom got Toby from her, who was a brindle Frenchie, which was who she wanted, and Yoda was going to be tossed to the wayside, so my mom was like, I'll take her. I'll pay whatever, I'll take her. Sweetest damn dog I have ever met, you know? And, back to where we were, Yoda was a very sweet dog. And the thing about her is she survived having cancer removed twice. I think once when she was 8 years old and another at 10. And they basically asked my mom, do you want to amputate the back leg? Her right back leg, you know, basically lost quite a bit of mass, but my mom was like, no. You know, she's a strong dog. She's still relatively young, because 8 is, to me, is still a relatively young dog, even though we've had some pass at that age. You have to take into account size, breed. If they're a mix, of course, they live longer. Anyway, Yoda survived that, and she went naturally. You know, I wasn't there for that, but she was really more my sister's dog, because my sister got her when she was around 16 or 18, around that age. So let's average it to 17. And she went naturally. Toby went naturally, and that was rough because my dad and I had to deal with that. And he had brain damage of some sort. I'm not quite sure. But he almost had seizures. Like we later discovered that it was seizure behavior. Because he would look off and he would throw his head to the left, and he would do this over and over until, and you could call his name, he wouldn't react. He went naturally. Xena, her teeth towards the end started to basically get painful, and she wasn't able to eat, and she was, you know, at the end of the line.
Aww.
And you have to take into account quality of life versus quantity of life, and that's very important in the medical field as well. But
yeah, I imagine the condition that most dogs are at the end of their life, they would probably elect.
Yes, well, I mean,
to go out in some cases.
You know, controversially, that's not a word, but in controversy, I do believe in assisted suicide. That's me. That's my personal belief, because why should someone have to suffer if they're tired and they've fought their battle and they've, you know, put through it? Why are they fighting, you know, because someone else's wishes?
Well, I guess a lot of the time, the reasoning behind not wanting people to commit suicide, even if they really want to.
Assisted. I'm talking about having like screening from psychiatrists, psychologists, multiple MDs. I'm saying an extreme. I don't want to delve too into this just because of the controversy of it.
I get you.
You know. So if you don't mind, I'm just gonna loop back around to Miss Misha. When she was put down, like I said, she was put down when I was 5, and I remember my mom and sister kind of sitting me down on the bed, and they told me. And, you know, most children, that's their first experience with death, which is a good segue, and we can put that in our next topic. Most children's experience with death is generally with a pet, you know, hamster, fish, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And I cried for like 5 days straight. I couldn't handle it, you know. And when Toby had passed, it was a rehashing of that, because I actually got to see him cold and stiff on the ground, and, you know, he had fucking fleas on them, and that pissed me off so badly to see. He died because he had a stomach tumor, a massive stomach tumor, and you know, like I said, it was an absolutely painful way to go, and I feel bad that he went that way, but, you know, what's past is past. So it's always been a rule in my house because we've grown up with dogs, and, you know, they were called, you know, even to this day they're called, you know, oh, you know, go see Sissy, you know, and, you know, anyway, you take the dog that has passed and you take a sheet that you like, you know, you wrap them in that. You know, when Xena passed away, we had her, or when we put her down at the Humane Society, they did it beautifully. They had a little chapel. I was able to write in a journal, basically, we'll meet again in some form or another. And thank you for your love and time and all you taught us. And it's gonna get me teary-eyed.
Aw.
But I'll keep it together. Talking through it helps, you know. But when, you know, she was put down, I had made her a bracelet, like I'd woven one out of embroidery thread, and I tied it to her paw, you know, after she passed, and I put a few cookies in, you know, with her, like you would put coins on someone's eyes. Which do to me, by the way, if I should, you know, ever go early, you know, put coins on my eyes. I need to cross the river Styx, you know? But, like I said, that's a lot of kids' first experience with death. And so what about you? What was your first experience with death, considering you only had a dog for a short window in your life?
I didn't watch my dog die. Or I didn't, like, get to know my dog through that point. What was the first experience I had with death?
We also have Catholic roots, too, so you had a...
Yeah,
Did you have a lot of open
shoved
coffin?
in your face a lot.
Well, did you have open coffin?
I'll say that much. Yeah. There's a lot of that kind of stuff. I guess, like, because on my mom's side of the family, there was just this point. There are just points of the year where all of a sudden, like, there are huge swaths of my mom's side of the family that are just dropping like flies. So,
well,
like, and
I get that, yeah.
with that side of the family being Hindu, there is this sort of strange, like, jovial nature around funerals.
Yeah.
With them.
Well,
so I mean, like, yeah, that was really, like, a
didn't-
lot of the time just
when
how I heard of it and stuff like that, and how I participated
when Nani
in
passed,
it.
your mother went back to Trinidad the year after, correct?
Yeah, you have 2 funerals.
That I like that. I
Hindu.
believe that's in Judaism as well. I'm not quite sure.
It's in a few cultures. There's another. You see it in. I think it's Chinese cultures that they do a thing that every now and then, like every few years or so, they dig up the bones and they'll clean them.
Oh,
and
I
they'll,
know
like,
what you're
garden
talking about. Yes.
the plot that they're buried in, and
they basically re-bless the bones. Yes, I do know what you're talking
upkeep
about.
of the funeral.
I don't think it's Asiatic countries.
No, I think it's like China specifically, but I'm not sure.
I've seen it in a few different places. That's something to look up. I can't remember where. I want to say in some parts of Africa as well they do that, because
there's all kinds of crazy funerary rites.
Oh yeah, I
throughout the
think
world.
that's
That's what got me fascinated with things like cannibalism, though, was learning about funerary rites. Well, I mean, it's true, is learning about funeral rites and stuff like that was how I learned about that.
Well, I mean, no, your first personal experience of, because I have a good story for this after.
I'm not entirely sure.
Did it happen when you were young, you think?
Probably.
Because
I would say, I'm going to say it was probably a family member. Like, just probably the one that stuck the most, I would say, was my grandfather dying.
Poppy?
Yeah. Was my dad's dad dying.
You seem...
I was at a party when that happened.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's known in my family or not, but I mean, I was at a party when my dad called me, because, like, at that point my grandfather was already in hospice.
Yeah, so you knew it
and
was
everything.
coming.
So yeah, we were all kind of like, look, he's gonna go any day now. Don't stop. You kids don't stop living your life because of this. So
Well, I mean,
just go on now.
you know what the Tralfamadorians believe, right? That a person's only dead in that moment of
Yeah,
time.
that's right. He's just not doing very well for that moment of time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean,
I like that.
you keep people alive in your memories, you know,
sure.
in the stories you recant, in a way,
Yeah, I can't remember.
your life becomes a legacy to those around you.
I can't remember. Ah, man, I hate that I can't remember what culture believes this, but it was that you die twice, and that's the when you leave your physical body and when the last person ever speaks your name ever.
It's like
Like the last
it's a
time
place.
your name
It's
is
something
spoken.
different.
And that's why I kind of
Is it Australia or it's a place you wouldn't
No,
expect?
in Australia, Aboriginals believe you shouldn't say a dead person's name. Like after they die, you don't say their name anymore.
I would find that counterproductive. I personally like the yearly get together, because you get to reflect on how people have done, in their life, and
But with what my mom did, that was just that's just once.
yeah,
After
but
the first year.
well, I realized
everybody
that.
can like come together and
No,
be
I
like
mean
the year without them.
The first time is the initial death. That's what I mean. That it's two.
Okay.
When I die, don't cry at my funeral. I want my life celebrated.
I can't make any promises about that. I tried to hold it together when Nanny died, and that was like what 30 seconds
Yeah,
of holding it together.
I believe you excused yourself.
I was like, I'm fine.
You were with we were with living at my grandmother's at the time at Meme's.
Yeah, we were at Mem's.
Yeah. And you want to know the strangest thing to me?
No.
That's not the first time that's happened to me with a person I was dating. My ex, his grandmother passed away when we were staying at my grandmother's for like a lunch or dinner. And honestly, he dealt with it the exact same way. And I can understand it. I mean, here's my grandmother, waltzing about the house. They're getting news. They're not there to receive it. They're not surrounded by any of their family to give a hug, And, I was glad that I was there for you. I was glad I was there for him, too, because, even though we're exes now, you need someone that understands you.
Oh, yeah.
In that period of time.
Yeah, it definitely helps with that transition to have.
So, what are your
people
views?
Around you.
What are your views on open coffin or open casket funerals?
I don't like it because it's a show.
Really? How
because
so?
Because this isn't how this is now a husk. This is now an amalgamation of cells again. This is not a human being with personality and traits.
Cells and chemicals. Don't forget the chemicals.
Oh, sure, of course, chemicals just floating around. A ton of chemicals because, they're preserved now. They're pickled. Like, I mean, that's what's messed up to me.
Well, then
is that they're like if it wasn't open casket, you think they'd still like put makeup on them and dress them up?
No.
And stuff.
No,
exactly.
What's the point?
So I mean, like, see what I mean? You're taking your dead relative and you're playing dress up and makeup with them.
Well, you aren't. The mortician is for a paycheck.
Oh well, sure, but you're asking them to.
Which I've always wanted to go in the mortuary field. So I mean, they make good money.
It does seem fascinating.
Since I was 13,
like I know it sounds like. I know it's a little cold and everything like that,
apathetic.
Like the dead person, but just honestly, I'm like, they're just keep them in the box. I mean, like you don't have to make them up and dress. They're not dolls.
Yeah.
Like I mean, if anything, they're an altar to the person that once was. Okay, like
I get that, but I want my body burned on a pyre.
Yeah, that you don't have to. That's not open casket.
I mean, depends on what you consider a casket.
Look,
I like
okay,
personally.
in this burning you on a pyre, okay? How long are we waiting until after you're dead to put you on the pyre? Probably pretty quickly, right?
My deathbed is the pyre.
Well, okay, so that's pretty fresh dead, right?
Uh,
Okay? Probably won't need to be made up and made to look more alive than you are.
I'm still in my stained nightgown.
Yeah, you're still fresh. You're still fresh dead.
So
Avoiding your bowels. That's how fresh dead you are.
I just at that point burn the house down so I can haunt it.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, no, you can't burn the house down to haunt it. Then there's no house to haunt.
Oh, I did not think that statement through.
I didn't plan this ghost thing at all.
That makes me wonder now about the whole trope of being buried on a Indian grave. That the house is haunted. What is the movie?
Oh, well, there's a few
What?
movies
No,
where it's like...
Poltergeist? Is it? No, it's not
Oh,
Poltergeist.
Poltergeist.
Aren't they buried on Native American burial grounds or something like that?
Oh, shit.
Or built? You know the movie I'm talking about.
I do,
Regardless,
but,
be a ghost in that burn the house down, and then haunt the ashes with the Native American ghosts.
Haunt the ashes. Yeah, just join their club. Look, I'm with you guys.
Hey!
Hey, I'm another ghost haunting the things.
You know what I always thought was funny growing up was Casper the Friendly Ghost. I mean, by the way, I adore the memes about Casper. They're so dark and delicious. Oh, it's fantastic. There was a Robot Chicken sketch where it's Casper as a human boy and his friend, and the friend throws a ball like out the street, and Casper's like, "I'll go get it," and just, and
you know what? Wait, so like,
there's a lot of tropes of it.
Because Casper like dies.
They ever explain it?
I forget. They explained it in the one with Nicole Ricci.
He is Richie Rich. You know that, right? Casper
Nicole
is
Ricci or Christina Ricci.
a Richie of sorts.
A Richie of sorts. But
is it something horrifying?
I don't know. I think it's like a car crash.
I mean,
some shit.
Well, I mean, that would make sense. That's the most probable and, least frightening to children.
Yeah.
And,
least frightening. I mean, like, as far as I'm concerned, if Casper did die in a car crash, that implies that the whole reason that he's still a ghost is because his body's, like, out in the woods in the car.
When was if you don't mind looking that up, when was Casper first aired?
I don't know, it was a cartoon originally.
I'm going to say in the 60s. I'm going to say 62.
That's
my guess.
Cartoon.
62 is my guess. Let's see how close I got to that.
Casper, the friendly ghost.
But yeah, there's a huge amount of controversy around Casper.
Cartoons made between 1945 and 1959. The characters
45
featured in 55 theatrical cartoons. Oh, okay.
19. Wow. Okay, I was way off.
1939 children's book. So it's even older than that, really.
Look up how he died. I'm curious, but yeah, you look at the outline of Casper and of Richie Rich, and they're supposedly like. There's a theory where...
Oh, yeah.
Where Richie goes out driving with his folks, and they crash the Lamborghini or whatever the equivalent was of the time. And, now he's Casper. Because I never watched Richie Rich at all, because that was before my time. Yes, and, sorry to keep irritating you with that. But,
fine.
But yeah, so... Because Casper has the notable 3 uncles that are kind of douches to him. You remember the 3 of them? There's a fat one, a skinny one.
I think it's like Stretch, Fatso, and Stinky.
Yeah, Stinky was one of them.
Yeah.
I remember that one being one of them. I don't know if they had that with Richie Rich too, but that would make sense. Unless it's like his great uncles or something, they've already kicked it. I have never been to an open casket funeral. You know that? And I'm grateful for that. I have been in a morgue for an autopsy, though, and I can tell you what it's like seeing someone plopped on a table. And, that was horrifying. That wasn't horrifying. Let me rephrase that. I'm into vulture culture, for those of you who don't know. For those of you that do know, please send me your bones, feathers, and other desirables. I appreciate it. But, so I knew kind of what to expect as far as smell, because of, just vulture culture and corpses,
dead things, yeah.
And I mean, I've smelled worse, so whatever. To me, it was an awesome experience because I wanted to go into mortuary science when I was 13. Everyone wrote it off as though it's a goth thing, but no, death fascinates me. There's a author called Carlos Castaneda, and he wrote The Teachings of Don Juan. And in that, there's a lesson somewhere that essentially says death is a shadow, and somewhere else in there where it says, you weren't afraid of being born. Why are you afraid of dying? Because of the whole stigma around it from society, it's considered. I know I'm branching off from my original topic, but, was a suicide and was death via zip tie, as after a breakup. And that's all I'll say, because but anyway, the doctor that I worked with, where I watched, I asked him questions, and he explained quite a bunch of things. And here's the thing with strangulation. One of the ways that you can tell, even if there's no noose or marks around the neck, the eyes are bloodshot because those veins are ruptured.
Yeah.
And just from the pressure. When they dissected the chest cavity, you could smell the alcohol in his liver. That was interesting. I found that terribly interesting. And, I know it's dark and morbid as all hell to say this, but it was kind of funny watching them do the brain dissection and pulling that out. Because they basically peel your face back. Like an orange.
Cool.
Like, I shit you not. And, I don't mean to laugh, but just in hindsight, it was such a weird image. They take a bone saw and they do a very clean cut around the crown. And they just pluck it out. And, you get to see the different points in the brain, and the doctor pointed out, little things. I don't remember what, but amyloid plaques as one of them. And the interesting thing was watching him take samples, because every little thing he has to take a sample to send to pathology.
Samples of what?
Cerebrospinal fluid, brain tissue, a part of the gallbladder, I believe, as well.
What did you say it smelled like? You said it smelled like something.
Alcohol. You could tell he had been drinking.
Okay.
Pre-mortem. And,
What about the brain?
You could see where it was slightly damaged from the strangulation. That was interesting.
Oh, I mean, what's it smell like?
It all has a very medical smell,
and there's a lot of fluids that they pump in.
That, and there's the cleaning chemicals, the other bodies that are in. This was a county coroner's office as well, so they had people that have gotten shot in there. They have people that had ruptures and died from sepsis, because if there's a probable cause for
dead people of all shapes and sizes.
Oh yes, no cookie cutters here. And so they had all different kinds. To me, at the time that I saw this person who had died via suicide, I was already questioning my career path from nursing to just veering back into psychology. To me, and it was a very, what's the word I'm looking for here? Lucky? It's a French word of some type.
I was going to say traumatic.
Oh, no, not traumatic in any sense, because I looked at that body and I went, I want to prevent this. No one should have to feel so how they decide to go. And he was an older gent. So, I mean, like I said, at that point, you might as well, get your scan, and like I said, assisted suicide. I won't go into that, but cannibalism. Jump on that. You had mentioned that your experience with death was generally involving cannibalism. Well, not reading about cannibalism. Let me clarify that.
Well, it was like learning about funeral rites. And then, eventually, at some point or another, that rabbit hole leads you down.
Of course.
Like, more ancient tribes that used to be like, oh, well, this was the most powerful warrior in our enemy village, and we're gonna eat him to gain his power. All kinds of stuff like that. But
there was a video on YouTube. I can't remember the name of it. It was a quite popular YouTube channel. If I find it, I'll put the link somewhere on the thing. Mm-hmm. But they suggested in one of the theories about cannibalism that eating people reduces disease numbers, which makes sense. You're eating the disease.
Yeah.
And not all diseases survive getting cooked.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that's definitely a benefit. I'll say
Soylent Green is made of people.
Soylent Green is my kind of people.